Okay. We're ready. All right. Well, hello. We got more T3 tonight. Thank you for tuning in. We're gonna start off with Barcode and stuff. We're gonna start off with the Barcode series, since their games have been like they've been doing. They're one of the more like, well, they won the season, but yeah. CPL, by the way, the season is officially over, so all the results have been tallied, but we're just waiting on the casts. So the games, the final games and the quarterfinals, all that stuff, they've yet to be casted, but the winner has already been long determined. So chances are, if you're watching, you're probably from CPL, and you probably already know this anyway. So, but if by chance you're not watching, or you are watching and you're not from CPL, my apologies for the spoiler alert. I'm kind of, I do a lot of stream of consciousness commentary, so I'm kind of getting used to pacing myself and stuff like that. Okay, and trying to remain rational. It's kind of sometimes hard to do stream of consciousness and be rational at the same time. So, but I'm trying. Anyway, so tonight we're going back over some more older games. As I said, we're doing Barcode series. I believe it's Barcode versus FlashCoin Whales. And the first map is going to be Vermeer. This is week 4, I believe. Yeah, it's week 4. Okay. And for our first series, it's going to be none other than a TVP with llIIlIlIlIlII versus FathersBelt. 2 brand new players this season, their first CPL, and 2 very fine players, having casted their games and played against them in the preseason. 2 very fine players, so looking forward to it. Getting right into the first series on Vermeer. And Vermeer, if you know, is kind of this, as I said in a previous cast, kind of like a modern classic. It's a 4-player map, your typical corner spawns. Of course, you have your natural, your typical natural setup. One of the things that makes Vermeer very unique is that you basically have like this little mini territory, and you kind of have 4 bases in your territory. Another feature that makes Vermeer unique are these little strips of high ground, which you can easily, stage your army at. If you're ready to go attack, you can, siege some tanks up here, burrow some lurkers up here. You can do all kinds of stuff with this high ground. So kind of the 2 really unique map features. And if you notice, apart from these high ground strips and the ramps into the base, there's not a whole lot of changes in topography in this map. It's overall a pretty largely flat and not too many topographical changes. So that's another thing to note with Vermeer. So anyway, yeah, kind of the general map concepts. We'll see how it plays into this matchup. Again, in this tier, you're definitely more focused on learning the basic concepts and stuff of the game. But we'll see what happens. We do see some very interesting plays every now and again. So going into game 1, Raikkles versus FathersBelt. And we have team colors, huzzah! Small wins every time. In the top right on Vermeer, we have our blue Protoss playing for, I believe, playing for Barcode, because we didn't feature Barcode last night. So, and I don't recall seeing him. So, yes. So Raikkles playing for, I believe, Barcode. It is. It is Raikkles. All right. Totally botched that. Let's see if I can do better this one. In the bottom right, our Red Terran playing for FlashCoin Whales. It is FathersBelt. And again, in this matchup, I would say about the first I'd say probably about the first 20 supply or so, 21, 23 supply. We tend to see a pretty static matchup. Obviously, we're going to see some scouting, and we'll see some initial structures going down, you know, maybe a couple of units here and there, but by and large, it should be pretty static for about the first 20 supply or so. Not much interaction. Likely. I'm not going to say that's a guarantee, but that's pretty standard for a lot of reasons. In this matchup, you know, Terrans don't really have to worry about 2-gate too much, I would say, in Tier 3. It's not entirely out of the realm of possibility. Occasionally, it is mixed in to kind of spice up a series, but it's definitely not standard, and it's definitely very risky, because if the 2-gate backfires, the Protoss basically auto-loses. So it is definitely a riskier build. Generally not gonna, you know, if you're worried about learning the game, it kind of, it's a lot safer to not 2-gate. Another reason why you won't see 2-gate is that an in-base 2-gate in a PvT is not good. It is like one of the weakest openings you could possibly do. If you are going to see a 2-gate, it's either going to be a center 2-gate or some sort of a proxy 2-gate maybe. If you want to get really nasty, you know, I don't know, maybe you could see an in-base 2-gate, but I highly doubt it. So probably more like a center or a proxy 2-gate is what you would see if you do see it in PvT. So generally, you're not going to see like crazy, you know, like 7 zealots early on in this matchup. It generally doesn't make sense, and it has to be offensive and planned. More likely what you're going to see are goon builds. Possibly you'll see a zealot first maybe, but generally you're going to see a goon opener, a goon expand opener. So, you know, that's kind of the Protoss logic of it. You know, it's just generally safer, more economical, protects you against a lot of stuff. And, you know, with Terran, I mean, I guess you could do some aggressive barrack stuff, but again, that's kind of risky. Certainly like factory openers, factory expand, or maybe some sort of aggressive build is a lot safer and a lot more effective. I think factory expand's a good, like, kind of get your economy going, gets you pretty safe against most stuff, and gets you more invested into the longer game. You know, aggressive builds like 2-fact and FE, definitely more dedicated to ending the game quickly, which are at this tier, you know, those builds are very effective because the amount of micro a Protoss has to do to hold it, you know, it's a challenge at this tier. So we do occasionally see some aggro builds as well. So, you know, all in all, like for Terran, like they don't have to worry about early cheese too much. So, like, why scout any earlier than 13? Protoss can still scout at 13 and detect aggro Terran builds just fine. So they can scout at 13, and they can, like, do their normal 1 Dragoon scout and detect Terran aggro just fine. So there's no reason for either side to really break, you know, typical scouting protocol in this. So we see Raikkles is already going for a 3-gate, sorry, a 3 goon expand. Probably, just judging by the timing of this robo, this is probably some sort of a 23 Nexus with 2 gates here. Should be seeing an observatory coming down. And should be seeing an observer starting. Yep, so right on target to start our observer at about 6 minutes or so. And just rally it over here. Terran doing a typical siege expand, factory expand. Actually, I don't know if this is exactly siege, but it was definitely a factory expand. And kind of got our typical, you know, 2 factories here, 1 add-on. So all very kind of normal. I would say a normal mid-game build, mid-game oriented build from both players. Raikkles going up to third gate and starting. Should be seeing a second gas here. Ideally, you want to see your second gas around when you start your Citadel. So starting a Citadel kind of early. Should be seeing a third Nexus coming down shortly, and a second gas coming down as well in the near future. And so far, just kind of trying to scout. I guess this is the attended third location, making sure it's safe from vultures. So we have our first observer out. Oh, sorry, our second observer. Usually you want your first one to go right to the base here and just scout, but I like how he's sending two, and presumably to stack one on top of the other in case there's turrets. Then that way, you know, your observer can get in through the turret fire. So I like how he's kind of being extra cautious and just sending two observers. And otherwise, you know, we have 8 goons out on the map, and it's about almost 8 minutes into the game. So, you know, should be seeing... I guess we're starting... Okay, so we're doing another gateway. 2 more gateways. So, yeah, we should be seeing a third base pop up shortly here. But kind of being extra safe, which is totally fair. So you can see there are turrets right here ready for observers to just come straight down. Obviously, that's not what's happening. Protoss sees no third, but, you know, kind of, you know, Terrans are usually kind of slow to take their third with all the other things they have to worry about from Protoss. So, you know, it's something to note, but it's not terribly critical. And FathersBelt adding more factories, going up to 6 factories now with 2 add-ons. So this is going to be a pretty substantive push coming out. I would say, yeah, definitely need to catch up in Gateway. Well, actually, Gateways is okay for now, but definitely need to get that economy going for sure so we can start really exploding Gateways. So we're starting, Forge is finishing, and we're starting Templar Archives for Protoss, and Stargate as well, so definitely going into an Arbiter. Maybe sacrificing that. Oh no, never mind. We're starting the third base now. So it looks like Protoss is leaning towards like maybe a 2 base, 2.5 base Arbiter ish. You know, definitely trying to get the Arbiter tech up before starting the third, which is you know, if you're going for a more tech heavy opener and just being safe and really trying to find ways to stop these mech pushes. You know, this is, if you're going tech heavy, being a little bit slow with the third is totally okay, as long as it all kind of balances out and you check all your boxes. There are more than one ways to get to the mid game and to get to the late game. So totally protecting this third. I like, you know, a vulture. Oh, here we go. So a lot of tank firepower. Goons kind of trying to poke and see what's going on, but these mines are getting incredible connections. So FathersBelt has got to be feeling really good about that. You know, this is, I mean, this is not something you want to push goons into, but this is also kind of vulnerable if you start like zealot bombing and stuff. Definitely want to see a little bit more of a tank spread from FathersBelt. Just you know, for no easy easy targets. But for now, it's a good hold. Excellent. Protoss trying to rally to this end of the map, have some presence here, maybe delay a push a little bit, but otherwise trying to... oh, nice. I like how we're scouting the map with the Zealot here, with the Speed Zealot, no less. So Protoss definitely, I would say, looking to add more gateways. We're going up to Arbiter. We're on 7 gates right now, which is not bad. Terran is on 6 factories, so, you know, we're kind of about even with Terran, I would say. In terms of, you know, I mean, when you compare, like, the firepower of the armies and stuff. But when you compare just army size, I would definitely say Raikkles has the bigger army for sure. Has just been macroing longer. A little behind in workers, but also has been on 2 base for very long. 53 workers on 2 base is kind of, you know, you'll bleed resources quicker. Got a push out coming here from the mech, from the Terran mech. Lots of tanks here. Definitely pretty scary if you aren't ready for it. I think, honestly, I think the Terran could probably just push to the other end of the map. I don't know if he could quite A-move and win just yet, but this is a pretty... Or he could just set up here on this high ground and just hold this, hold the Protoss attack path here. But yeah, once these Speed Zealots get on top of tanks, man, and get a storm off, excellent. Kind of light on units, but I like that. I like the engagement priorities here. Yeah. So we're replenishing our goons. The downside to goons is that they take a long time to build. So there's plenty of time for the Terran army to just come over here and set up shop. Maybe even try and end the game. Right? Terran is looking excellent this game. Sieging up just outside, starting to contain. Mining the front entrance as well. For us, I like that, you know, in this situation where you're kind of light on units, I like building cannons, having just a little bit of extra defense power there while you're waiting for your macro to kick in. But this third base is very exposed, and I think Terran can totally break this. I think Terran could totally break the Protoss third and just really set them back economically. We have Zealots all the way on the other end of the map for some reason. That's unfortunate. Yep, so Goon goes down, and now Terran can just start sniping the worker line and eventually clearing out this Nexus. This contain is just so... Oh, we have scans, so not even DTs can do anything. Just so strong. We have 1, 2, 3, 7 gateways, plus an arbiter. I think Protoss just really lost all their army and just hasn't been able to get a good army back up in time. Unfortunately. Wow! Oh my gosh! Nice Mind Connect. That's exactly what you need to break this tank line. Oh my gosh, that was devastating. Trying to, oh. The friendly fire with the splash damage is not working out for the Terran. That's true, yeah, we're not, well, we are rallying vultures, but we could definitely be doing better in that department. Because otherwise we were just getting free tank snipes. Protoss is going to slowly but surely clear this, but you know, at 7 gates at this point in the game, they do not have and not macroing out of everything. They don't have the production. All Terran needs is to hold up 1 or 2 good macro cycles and just run across, and I'm sure they could just crush this and win. The Protoss macro is just not working this game. Partly because we only have 7 gateways. I mean, you know, and we have 33 workers. Wow, look at this worker lead. 40 worker difference between the two forces. 75 workers versus 33 workers. That's an insane economy for Terran. Terran is still on 6 factory. I would probably like to see 1 more factory, I would say. Go up to a nice 7 factory. But I love look at the Terran macro machine. It's just full speed ahead. Tanks, I don't know if we quite have enough tanks to do this. This is kind of I think a slight miscalculation on the Terran. I say slight because it obviously wasn't a good time to engage. That's a lot of goons, but I don't think they're out of the game by any means. Especially if they set up on this high ground here. Oh my gosh, this is great. Yeah, just scan. And we have mines here in the middle of the path as well. Look at these mine connections. This is going to destroy this. Look at that. Wow. Only like 5 goons left out of like 12. Yeah, I think the Terran macro machine is definitely doing better this game. Oh, there you go. There's the 7th factory. Oh, 8 factories. I'm sorry. We had 7. I miscounted. We're at 9 factories now. I'm a Protoss main. I can't do math. Yeah, I like the Terran economy is great. Protoss has not been rebuilding probes, so they're still down 40 plus workers. And the Protoss gateway count is kind of not like, I mean, it's still at like, oh, maybe that's 8 right there. So it's at 8 gateways. 8 gateways is okay on 2 base. And they need to have at least 10 to 12 gateways, I would say, in their main, for it to be like ideal macro at this point. But this is a great engagement, targeting down those tanks. What are the upgrades? So these are +1 upgraded Dragoons are beating +2 upgraded tanks. That's insane. GG. Raikkles taps out. I think maybe it was a little early, but I do think it was just economically. I do think it was a matter of time. Look at the supply difference and the money difference the whole game. So it's a GG. All right. FathersBelt takes game 1. On the whole, excellent macro out of FathersBelt this game. Excellent macro. And in general, excellent engagements as well. Radion is going to be game 2. Dada, thank you so much for stopping by and chatting with us today. So Radion is another 4-player map. This is pretty. It's again kind of has that. It's not quite like Fighting Spirit, but it is at its core a 3-base 4-player map like Fighting Spirit is. The difference is these two bases at 12 o'clock and 6. Very isolated high ground bases. Excellent spot to set up siege tanks, cannons and Templar, all, Reavers, all kinds of neat, lurkers, all kinds of just crazy, strong defensive positions up here. Very big mains. Have the natural third pretty close by. But otherwise pretty open, pretty flat. Got a couple bridges here, connecting some of these third bases that may not be fun to engage at, may not be fun to defend or attack. So depending on the matchup, but otherwise a pretty straightforward and pretty flat map. So we're going to go into game 2 here. And in the top right, it is our blue Protoss. Raikkles playing for Barcode. And in the top left, our red Terran FathersBelt playing for the FlashCoin Whales. Yeah, I think Terran definitely could have done a little bit better with rallying vultures across, but overall, I do think that the Terran just had better economy and better macro the whole game, which the game, if Raikkles didn't tap out what they did, the game might have gone on to 30 or 45 minutes, but eventually the Terran army would have just straight up out macroed the Protoss. Oh, okay. My bad. Okay, so thank you for the correction. So I did get the teams mixed up. We will try and not make that mistake in the next series. Nice. I like this Sim City here. I like giving the Marine maybe room here and here to hide from the Zealot. I like the core here. That's nice SimCity as well. I like the very kind of playing close to the chest in the SimCity. The nice thing about a compact SimCity like this is that it just makes it the more compact you get your SimCity like this, it just makes it really unattractive to try and do crazy worker shenanigans or vulture shenanigans, because it just gets harder and harder and harder to navigate. So FathersBelt coming back in here for another scout. trying to count pylons. And of course, kill pylons. And Raikkles right now getting... ooh, I like that he cross-spawned scouts second. So, I like that Raikkles seems to have some game sense here with the scout with the scouting. It seemed like he maybe felt this SCV came in a little too early, so he knew it couldn't have been a cross spawn. So, you know, he just kind of, you know, a nice game sense overall is what I'm trying to say. It's very, I think, was logically able to extrapolate about where the Terran was based on how early the SCV got there. And the fact that he didn't scout him down here at his first scout. Terran once again expanding, building 2 factories, and just kind of playing a nice safe step into the mid game. Protoss looks like oh wow, a 30 robo. So Protoss going for this looked like a 23 Nexus, and then getting a really quick second gate and delaying the robo a little bit. So the observers are going to be a little bit late getting into the Terran, but in exchange we might have more goons out faster. Slightly faster. I mean, these aren't like, you know, huge differences, but the bunker's going down. Hopefully those Marines are going to go into the bunker where they're not very easy targets. Yeah, I mistook the names because last night I don't believe we cast Barcode last night, but I might be wrong. But I know we cast FlashCoin Whales both nights, so I just got the team names mixed up because of just who we casted. I was trying to logically figure it out, but that's all right. At this point, I'm just trying to highlight the players. I think that's the... Honestly, this season there have been so many interesting games across all the different teams of Tier 3 that I've seen that, like, at this point, I'm just highlighting the players. So we got a little push coming along, kinda late for some sort of a 3-tank push. Also not very many Marines, but otherwise, sure. Oh, there's the other Marines. But you know what? It doesn't. If it works, it doesn't really matter if it's late. 3 tanks at this point of the game plus mines are terrifying. So Terran is trying to get onto this end of the map early, and maybe trying to get some damage in or start a contain early. And look at that. I mean, when you have goons, like, look at how quick they die with a few tanks and some buffer. not quite in range of the mine. Protoss sweeping the mines outside the base, clearing... oh, a little too close there. Clearing the path. And we have Zealot leg speed on the way with some Zealots, the first round of Zealots coming out. And Terran, we are going up to 4 factories, plus a starport, plus an armory. And also upgrading siege mode. And vulture speed, wow. Okay, so we're just getting all the things here for Terran. Now, despite once again being down, I think this is what, 6 workers. So Protoss last game was also down a bit in workers as well. Despite being down in workers, Protoss has quite the army here. So, assuming the attack goes relatively favorably, this could still turn sideways for the Terran. 7 gateways, I'm counting. Yeah, 7 gateways, 2 bases, 3 bases. Starting the 3rd base kind of at a safe time. Once again, going for Arbiter. I believe they start a Stargate. I don't know. I don't see it anywhere, but I thought I saw a Stargate on the build queue. Alright, so Protoss is now moving across the map with a pretty formidable... oh, well, that's quite a tank line. It's a formidable army that tries to push out, but this army is going to melt in a second against this tank line that's spread like this. A much better spread than last game, so I like this. Okay, now we're going up to Arbiter. I thought okay. So I guess I didn't see a Stargate. I was just... And Storm's coming. Terran's got upgrades coming. +1/+1. And the 3rd CC is finishing up. But, you know, with this army on the field, I don't think that 3rd CC is going to land anywhere. As long as the Protoss doesn't really force an engagement, like doesn't really push in and try and destroy this tank line, I think they're okay to just, like, you know, sit here in an arc with, you know, superior macro and superior numbers. Uh, 8 gateways now. Perfect. Beautiful. Once we get this 3rd base mining, I would definitely like to see 10, 12 gateways. 12 gateways would be ideal at this point. So we'd definitely like to see 4 more gateways go down in the Protoss main. We are attacking straight into a fortified tank line. Okay. But at least we're keeping our goons alive. I like that we're pulling back and trying to not lose all our goons. So now we probably want to focus on, again, rebuilding our zealots, which we're doing. And if Terran feels bold enough to move out, really try and catch him before he sieges up like this. But the thing about tanks is if you're going to try and kill them with goons, you don't want to stay far away. So it's better to pull back if you're going to stay far away. So, lost a few there, but overall I like the choice to pull back. Yeah, so definitely want to see more gateways and just definitely want to hold back and really let the macro kick in for Raikkles. Also, I mean, you know, 40 workers at this point. We need better worker production for sure. But Terran is trying to press the issue. Ooh, I like this. Look at this dispatch. Are they going to try and like just come down here and like flank this base? Oh, this is nasty. This could totally catch Raikkles out of position and off guard. Look, wow. And all the goons are toast. There's not a whole lot of units back home to contest this. I think this base falls. There's just nothing to stop this. You know, but nice. Cutting off the reinforcements is a good way to go. Like, if you can't stop it, you know, kill the reinforcements. So, I still like the move out here, but Raikkles has to be very careful. He does want more gates, ideally in his main where the production is safe at the moment. Does lose a third. Meanwhile, a third does go down and is mining for Terran. So now Terran is, well, I mean, they've been in a great position, you know, numbers-wise for a lot of the game. But, you know, one botched attack at this tier and it could all change. So, but on the whole, Terran's position is good. 3 bases, 63 workers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 factories plus science vessels. I mean, just beautiful. Does he? Yeah, there you go. Once he gets the scan down, those are dead. It's not really it's annoying, but it's not really a threat. Needs another scan out here, so he doesn't lose too much of his mech, but he's got some time. And much better production, much better macro out of Raikkles this game. At least gateway production. Still, like, really need to work on worker production. But then again, if he's staying on 2 bases, like, he's got a good worker count for 2 bases. You know, you don't want to oversaturate too much and run dry. So. Lots of vultures, and we have another round of tanks coming out, but lots of vultures coming in and trying to be a nuisance. But, you know, these are speed zealots, so they're... Oh, there you go. Mines are good. They're not going to go down quite as easily. So once again, setting up a siege line. You know, I wouldn't mind seeing tanks like here, 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 here. Just overall set an arc out here and try to keep vultures in front. So, but, you know, starting it, certainly this is a good start. Goliath's coming into the game and Arbiter on the way. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Still on 8 gateway production. At 2 base, 8 gateway production is okay. Oh my gosh. Oh man, we're just losing too much of our buffer. But there is a minefield here, but man, mines and Terran units backfire so bad. Really need to have more like vultures and stuff to buffer for the tanks. And eventually push this tank line forward, I think. We have a vulture in every port. A vulture in every port for the Terran. And a 4th CC landing. So 4 base to 2 base in a TVP with 168 supply. Again, it's only really a matter of time. Oh, and 78 workers. Yeah, I forgot to mention that little detail. Yeah, only really a matter of time before the Terran macro just overpowers the Protoss at this point. GG. Raikkles taps out. Yeah. I mean, I think that was less controversial this game than it was last game. I think definitely in game 2, FathersBelt had a little bit more of a commanding position throughout the whole game. So I don't really... still kind of early to tap out. I mean, technically he had, a little bit more macro he could have done, but he was mined out in his main base, and he was getting mined out as natural, and his money was pretty low. He only had like 300 minerals in the bank when he tapped out, so he didn't have too much macro left in him. So, yeah, I don't disagree. It's a little bit less of a controversial tap out this game. Good effort, nonetheless. TVP can be a little weird to get a hold of after the early game. Like if you can't really end the Terran in like too long, like 10 minutes or something like that. Like if you can't do something really cheesy and aggressive to end the Terran early, they get much harder to defeat as the game progresses on. So yeah, I don't it was maybe a little early, but don't disagree with that one. FathersBelt takes the series 2-0. Oh, yeah, okay. Maybe we did cast Barcode last night and I just don't remember. Or whatever. Anyway. On to the next series. We're going to do Solaran Vocus Locutus 1, which is a TVZ. And we're going back to Vermeer. Okay. All right. In the top left on Vermeer, playing for Barcode, it is Locutus 1, our red Zerg. And in the top right on Vermeer, our blue Terran, playing for the FlashCoin Whales, it is Solaran. I would say in this matchup, and I'm again like, of the three races right now, I am the least experienced in Zerg. But part of that is just Zerg's early, like their immediate splitting game. I still need like way more practice in getting that very fluid. Splitting and building a drone and sending out my overlord is just, that's a lot of actions in the first like few seconds. So it's still something I'm working on. But I find all three races very interesting, if I'm to be honest with y'all. I find the nuances of the builds and the ideas of all three races to be very interesting. I think in this matchup, like in a ZVT, I think that one of the safest macro openings you could do, if not the safest, is a hatch first. It's just the things you can do out of a hatch first build are just insane in this matchup. And you don't have to worry about cannons because your Terran player doesn't have a forge, and you know they're not going to run up to your base and build bunkers and load it up, right? In any reasonable amount of time if you go hatch first. So I like this as a beginner level ZVT opener. All of the three core Zerg openers, though, are all very interesting in their own nuance. But another thing to remember with this game, with this matchup, is that like the two really strong early game plays you can do, and one of them is like very standard, is like 2 hatch muta. You know, 2 of the very strong early game plays you can do in this matchup involve 2 hatcheries with 2 gas. So just dropping that hatch right away just is great. And I love the in-base macro hatch. You know, if we're going mutas, that's just more larvae we have for Mutalisks, so that's always great. You know, we could be seeing just a 9 muta harass. And even though these lings are late, look at this. There's 6 lings, and they're just going right over to the other end of the map. And what does Terran have at this time? You know, not much. So lings kind of already coming over here, killing the first Marine. Very unfortunate. And killing the second Marine. Had those Marines been behind the wall here, I don't think they would have had quite as easy of a time. But, you know, that's what happens. Okay, so an Evo chamber to me suggests maybe we're not gonna do Spire. Maybe we're gonna do some sort of a lurker build. Because we're still getting the second gas really quickly. So yeah. So cool. I like seeing lurkers out of Zerg. Mutas are a great unit. But in tier 3, if you don't have your muta micro down to a good baseline level, mutas could backfire. That's kind of the downside, and we casted a series a few weeks ago where that happened. So they can at this tier they can absolutely backfire if the control isn't there. The lurkers, in my opinion, are a much more tier 3 friendly unit because they're more about positioning than they are about micro. Certainly when you compare them to mutas, anyway. Oh, nice. We have a Spire going down anyway. Okay, that was a total misread on my part, but I'm here for it. I'm here for the muta play. Do have some turrets going down. Now the Spire is starting a bit on the later side. So Terran does have a little bit more of an opportunity to defend here. Now, one thing I will say about Solaren is that I've been watching his games. Once he gets the opportunity to get into a defensive position, I really like his chances. So, you know, the more Solarian is able to build turrets and defend the, I mean, I'm liking this game for him conceptually. So this is a very good. I'm really liking the game one out of Solarian that I'm seeing. Very light on the sunkens. We don't really feel like there's much of a threat right now. But we do have 9 mutas already, so there we go. Now, these are kind of spread a little bit. Okay, now they're kind of clumping together. So this is kind of what we want. We want a little bit more of a clump. Nice pick off there. Going straight for the gas. And, Terran really has to... but look at their spread here. So, if Terran can actually get on top of these mutas while they're spread, that's going to hurt the Zerg. So, again, you really want to keep them clumped. Kind of spreading a little bit here, too. But really just totally wreaking havoc on the economy. On the whole, I think that paid off. It is now 29 drones to 8 SCVs. And we just have an insane amount of lings being made back home. Going into... Oh, more mutas are coming back. Sorry, I missed that. My bad. Alright. 7 mutas now. Terran has not remade their workers, so this is not looking good. We're only at 70 minerals, and we have... not a whole lot of workers, and we only have 4, and I don't know how many of them are mining. Yeah, none of them are mining. But we are taking down the muta numbers. The problem is I don't think we have a response for the crazy Zerg play that's going to come out of here in a minute with the armor and the attack. Okay, so that's why we built the Evo chamber. That makes sense. So this is an interesting, an interesting build to learn. And Terran is still not remaking workers. But you know what? That said, I mean, Terran really does need to get their economy back into shape, but their defense for this is so far keeping them alive and killing mutas. Every time these mutas come in for another dive, more of them die. But I don't think that the Terran is going to have any answer to this horrendous amount of Zerglings that are en route. Just totally staging on this area here. Look at that. That is just like 3 control groups of Zerglings just right there. Yeah. So this high ground position, again, like, was, a good example of just staging your army here before you move in. And the Ultralisk armor is on the way, and the 3rd hatchery is finished, and the workers are being transferred. So, but I really think that this horde of Zerglings here is just going to be game ending whenever the Zerg decides to pull the trigger. Because Terran, okay, they've been building workers, but they do not have a lot of defenses at home, and the Lings will just run through these holes. So whenever the Zerg decides to start the engagement, this is pretty much over. But I do like that at least we're rebuilding our workers. So in both this series and the last series, I have noticed that, you know, I mean, worker production has been a place to work on, which is, you know, it's a CPL. We're here to learn, right? So just something to keep in mind. That is probably the first fundamental skill of macro to really get down, is just get down worker production to where it's the muscle, you have the muscle memory with your hotkeys and stuff. Because in this game, look at what a difference it would make economically with the money we have coming in. And the engagement does start. Look at the Ling horde. The Ling, it just floods right in. The walls come tumbling down. Ooh, I like the stim though. They aren't, well, they're choosing not to get far past the stim. The ultras are here though. And this army is going straight for the main base. And once these ultras get here, once they get anywhere in here, they're going to just totally annihilate the Zerglings. But this is over. 5 armor. Yeah, GG. All right. Zerg takes game 1. That said, that was, on the whole, one of the better games I've seen out of Solaren. So I love it. I love that this season I've just seen so much noticeable improvement out of this player, because I've been playing since CPL 9, and I think I've been between CPL 10 and NSL, I've been acquainted with Solaren for a few years now, for a few seasons now rather. And I'm just seeing total improvement this season from what I've seen in past seasons. So, you know, I do appreciate the work being put in. I think that it shows, and I think that you know, just continuing to work on the mechanics and on the production, I would say. But let's see what Game 2 has in store for us. All right, back to Radeon, our other kind of nice flat 4-player map. Floyd, hello. Thank you for stopping by the chat today. I hope you're enjoying CPL Tier 3. In the top right on Radeon, it is Locutus, our Red Zerg, playing for Barcode. Alright. In the bottom right, our Blue Terran, it is Solaren, playing for the FlashCoin Whales. Alright. So once again, kind of setting up a wall here for Terran. Zerg is going for a 9 pool this game. All right. I'm here for it. I'm here for some 9 pool speed. Let's do it. All right. This is the first you know, kind of non-standard, well, not non-standard. This is kind of just the first, like, more aggressive ZVT opener I've seen. Most of the ones that I've been casting so far have been, 12 hatch into Muta, into Crazy Zerg, that overall plan. But this is the first actual 9-pool speed build I've been seeing. So I'm very excited to see this. One of my favorite builds. Zerg's really kind of just scrappy, immediate early game is one of my favorite things about learning them. So I'm very excited to see how many lings we get out here and how much damage this does. Solaren going for I guess going for a 15 CC. If you are going to build the CC this early, it is also, like, if you're going to build the CC before Marines, it is also not a bad option to take the SCV that finishes building the barracks and sending them to start the CC. So that is another way to go about it. The lings get right through here and just kill everything. And speed finishes. And they're just gonna... Oh, pick off the SC. Well, okay. I mean, they can kill the command center faster than the SCV can finish, so that is valid. The Marine goes down. Another barracks goes up. But more lings are coming. I think this is another solid play out of the Zerg. Love this opening. Oh my gosh. I may actually play Zerg next season instead of Terran. This looks like so much fun. And not a Marine finishes. Wow. What a series. I am loving llIIlIlIlII right now. Great build and macro and just overall concepts in game one. A little slow to pull the trigger, but that's okay if you're, I mean, macro is definitely the definitely a great fundamental skill to get down. But man, once he was ready to pull that trigger, that game was over. So, and this game, just a nice kind of quick, strong, aggressive opener. GG. Zerg takes game 2. llIIlIlIlII taking the series 2-0 versus Solaren. I think that this was just a build order win for Zerg, but once again, game 1, I loved. I enjoyed Solaren's position and the defensive position he was able to get in that game. So, second Solaren game I've casted where he's been in a good defensive position. So. Again, happy to see the improvement. I think that was just a straight up build order win. And a good one. It was decisive. It won. So, excellent series out of llIIlIlIlII and out of Solaren. So, here we go. Last series of this bracket. It is Coffee Flux, a Protoss player, versus Scavdrax, a Terran player. It is another TVP. And we are going back to Vermeer. It looked so stupid when I said that. Oh my gosh. I was watching my face on the casting software. Oh, that's funny. Okay, here we go. All right. Ooh, a beautiful position for game one. I like it. Terran probably is going to hate it. It is cross spawn on Vermeer. In the top right, we have our red Terran, Scavdrax. And in the bottom left, our blue Protoss. I believe both of these are CPL newcomers this season. Give it up for Coffee Flux. That's Scamdrax. That's funny. Well, in that case, I hope to see a 12 Nexus out of Coffee Flux. Just because. Oh, is he cross? Oh, that'd be sick if he crossed. Well, there's no reason to. So we're going in 8 pylon. And scouting right on 8. This may not be a bad way to go if we're trying to Nexus first. But if we're trying to do a normal gateway first build, which it looks like we're doing, kind of aggressive scouting. Again, there's nothing really. If you're Protoss, I mean, you have BBS to worry about theoretically, but this is tier 3. We're all still trying to learn how to macro and manage our army in this tier. Realistically, you might get that one weird series where you see a BBS, but realistically, you're probably not going to worry too much about a BBS in tier 3. If there's any really crazy aggressive stuff you should worry about, it's probably a 2-fact, I would say. Only because FDs are just not very current right now. But even those are very risky for Terrans. So, and even those we don't need to scout on 8 and detect them. So we did go over this last, not last cast, but a previous cast, where the reason, particularly for I think both of these races, scouting early, both of these races are races where timing is of critical importance with your first few buildings. Like, I would say probably your first half a dozen buildings or so, maybe 4 or 5 buildings, actually. Timing matters. Well, no. Yeah, about half a dozen buildings if you're counting gas and stuff. Yeah, your first half a dozen buildings, your timings need to be crisp, ideally. And when we scout really early as either Protoss or Terran, we really hurt those timings. So it's generally it's generally advised to scout on 13, so that you're not hurting your build overall. Now that said, I don't know how much Coffee Flux's build is going to hurt, but their build is going to be slightly hurt from that 8 scout. Like their gateway could have been built slightly quicker. They could have started their zealot slightly faster, and so on and so on. So, just and you know, the same thing works for Terran too, because the Terran's first half dozen buildings, you know, timings also matter a lot. So Terran has the same issue. So, but we haven't seen too many early scouts, like earlier than 13 scouts out of Terran in the games we've been casting. So, just a general footnote there. You know, this is the level where you probably don't have good enough micro where you're gonna be able to do really super cheesy, you know, like free 7-minute aggro stuff as Protoss. We got a nice factory expand out of Terran. Got a bunker with Marines in it. Doing, I guess, a Vulture first build. We have several Vultures on the map and lots of map control. And we have tanks already starting. So I'm really liking Scavdrax's map presence. Very commanding and pretty intimidating to deal with. At this level, like if any of these vultures are like together and roaming and harassing, like it's annoying. So mines are going down, placing at the natural third, placing at the second main. Ideally, probably would want to mine at their natural fourth as well, because there is a natural fourth on Vermeer. So, but overall, I'm liking the immediate early game out of Terran. Getting some presence, getting some control, getting some intel with mines. I like how we have one here, kind of near where the army is. And otherwise, just tanking up. And wow, Goliath right away. All right. Coffee Flux is, let's see. Well, I'm guessing we have a Robo, which is what this probe is about ready to build. I'm guessing we're getting ready for that. But we have a Nexus just about finishing at like what, 7.5 minutes. So probably like a 5. I think maybe like a 6-minute Nexus-ish, maybe 5:45. A little bit late on the Nexus for this matchup, and a very late Robo. What's ideal for this matchup is the Robo and the Observatory are done, and the Observer is already across the map by now. That is ideal. But, you know, anywhere like close to the ideal is good. So, but we have a 2-gate opener. Honestly, with this opening, now that said, so we also do have a slight worker disadvantage for Coffee Flux, but all that said, I do like this army composition. You know, this is what, 9 goons and some zealots. You know, with mines on the map, a few zealots to pad are good. Slow zealots are annoying, and 9 goons are strong. You know, 8 goons are strong. So, yeah, this is a little scattered, a little out of position, but I don't dislike this army. But I definitely feel like as an opener, and it's only because of how... Oh, nice. So we got the Vulture kill, and there were no... that's unfortunate. So we ran our goons right into a tank line and got murdered. But we did get a Vulture kill, and I didn't see this Vulture take out too many workers. So that is definitely always a win. As a footnote, for Coffee Flux, the build I would recommend looking into is Day9's 2-gate Observer build. I think I made a note of this last cast as well, but knowing how this particular build, just conceptually, this would have been much better executed if this were a 2-gate Observer build, because it has all of the conceptual components of a 2-gate Observer. We have a later Nexus, we have a faster Robo, we have 2-gate goon production, and if you get the later Nexus, you can get goon range. So, you know, overall, I would definitely look at the 2-gate the classic 2-gate observer build. If we're going to go for this kind of early game setup, definitely would work out a bit better. Would definitely have like more goons out sooner. Would have a better step into the 10-minute phase of the game. It's a good build for defending aggressive Terran plays, so yeah, I would definitely look into that one for sure. But for Terran, we have we just have a nice contain coming up. So the tanks are kind of parked out here. If we can get these units in front of the tanks, that would be ideal. But, you know, as long as the goons don't hit the tanks, that's the general concept. Like the mines. Ooh, wow, look at that. Oh, my gosh. Killer Mine Connect just totally took out 3 goons. That was nice. And getting those probe kills that every Terran just... It lights a fire in their sadistic hearts when they kill innocent probes. And yeah, no goons are getting out of this. So, very, yeah, GG. All right. So, Scabdrax takes game 1 with, you know, just, I think that game, unfortunately, I think Coffee Flux kind of handed him that game when he sent his whole army across the map and lost all his goons. Same thing happens in PvP. You lose all your army and then your opponent retaliates and you lose. So, yeah. Very, you know, Scabdrax smelled blood in the water and pounced. What can I say? We call him Scamdrax on Barcode. Scammed by Scamdrax. Oh my gosh. That's funny. So, yep, back to Radeon. So at this point in your game, if you don't split your workers right away, like if you're just mechanically not there yet to where you're trying to split your workers, after the first, like, I would say 1 or 2 trips back, definitely I would try and start distributing my probes to where they should be splitting to the 4 closest patches. This is just a good practice in the long run. Terran has much better splits and therefore has a much better early game economy, I would say. Splitting is one of those things, it's kind of like micro, where at this tier, you want to have some good baseline splitting practices established, but you don't need to go too crazy with it. Like, I'm tier 3, upper tier 3, but I'm tier 3, and I was doing practice games against a tier 1 player, and my splits were like as good as a tier 1 player, and my worker production was competitive with a tier 1 player. So, you know, you don't have to go too crazy into worker splitting, but you need to have a good foundation, certainly, for the just that's another part of getting your timings out well. So yeah, but the really crazy worker splitting that you see from like S rank players and S++ players, just the super optimized worker splitting, you don't have to have it down quite that well, but you know, you need to be working towards getting 4 workers to the closest patches, you know, as quick as possible. It's kind of tricky to do right away if you haven't practiced it, but it is doable. It takes a bit of grinding and repetition, but it's doable. Looks like Terran getting the last scout here of all of this, and I think Protoss is going to get the second scout, but a little bit late. We have a Marine here. 2 Marines, sorry. And the worker does get taken out. We should have been able to make note of the number of SCVs on gas. Should have been able to make note of, you know, the factory, what the factory's doing. So the worker, the probe was certainly passed by the factory, and I think was close enough to here to be able to see the refinery a little bit. I like the, this is much better building optimization out of Coffee Flux. This is more typical in this matchup where you build a Zealot first, right? You build your core, and then you build your Zealot, and then you start building goons after your Zealot. So I'm liking this opening. It's much more typical. So I'm all, and you know, openings are typical for a reason. So I'm liking that I'm seeing more like standard Protoss openings out of Coffee Flux this game. Just conceptually, it looks more standard. Once again, just good map presence with the vultures. Got the mine here in the path of the army. Got a mine here outside of the main base, and just scouting the map and sending mines across the map to give us a clue as to when the Protoss expands. So I'm really liking the early game map control with vultures that we're seeing out of Scavdrax. Our starting range a little late. Generally in PvT, these days anyway, you generally need range. You can't really afford to skip range or delay it. So just something to, again, something to keep in mind. But once again, we're kind of doing our factory expand, kicking in siege tanks now, and building the second factory. So all looks very normal for Terran. A nice, just, you know, macro early game. really doubling down on putting the mines in the attack path. Of course, we're setting our vultures to scout out the corner bases and drop mines there as well. If Protoss ever wants to go over to either of these bases and build another set of gateways. So, really nice, map presence, map vision, and map control out of Scabdrax. We have 9 goons and 3 zealots again. Hopefully we don't move out with them. I think a general good practice in this match as well is to not, you really want to kind of build up your units safely and scout and get intel with observers before you start running across the map and trying to end the game. So that's just generally a really good PvT practice. A lot of PvT is built around getting some goons out, defending, scouting with, getting intel with observers, and then figuring out what your plans are. So, definitely want to make more use of these observers and see what's going on, at least before we move out. Good tank spread. These goons are not close enough, and they're just going to get murdered. But even if they were close enough to dive on this, there's 2 more back here. So, yeah, really good tank spread. I don't think the Protoss is going to make it very far with this mine and tank positioning. Especially since now they lost their whole army. Nice. I like how the Terran is completely zoning out. Look at this. We have a mine at this base here, this base here. We have a mine at both possible thirds. We have a mine at each of the other mains, right? All of the intel we need to make sure that the Protoss macro engine isn't going crazy. And we're containing here, and we're taking a third. This is like the safest possible third you could ever take as Terran. Just beautiful positioning and tactics, and I love Terran's game. GG. All right. Yeah. I don't disagree. That enthusiastic GG, this was just a phenomenal game out of Scabdrax. In fact, I don't know. I might actually study this game a little bit, because this is just cool. I mean, for my own Terran play, this is just great. It's like you can see all of the priority threats are just being checked off with where the vultures are going, where the mines are getting dropped, where the tanks are being positioned. It's just, oh my gosh, the positioning is just beautiful. Great job. 2-0 for Scabdrax. Scabdrax in some circles. That's wow. That's funny. 2-0. Excellent job. Good attempt at a coffee flux. Yeah, so that's the kind of another PvT concept is you don't want to get too aggressive with your army before your observers kind of gather intel on what the Terran's doing and where their tanks are positioned and stuff like that. So, yeah, but I think you know we for Protoss, I think if we work on scouting with our observers more, and if we work on that 2-gate robo, 2-gate observer opener, I think this is going to look a bit nicer next season. It's going to look a lot more what's the word? Cohesive. It's going to look a lot more cohesive next season. So excellent first season.